That was a very unexpected ending. I was not anticipating all of that energy coming at me. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Requiem by Korn. Now this is to date Korn's most recent album that they released last year in 2022, and it's also the final Korn album that I have to react to here on my channel. So yeah, I'm just really excited to dive into this one and see how Korn is going to finish off their discography. Alright, up first is track 1, which is called Forgotten. I love that little guitar there right before this explosive blast came in.
Destined to see how broken, faulted.
I love that right before the chorus I was hearing all of these tiny little electronic noises in the background. It's kind of giving it like this slight futuristic tone. This part has such a great flow to it. There's like a really awesome fluidity that it has, almost like a smoothness to the instrumentals. Well, that was track 1, Forgotten. Definitely similar in tone to their previous album, The Nothing, with how they were fusing a lot of heaviness with this sort of like smooth, modern electronic tone as well. They did a really good job on that track balancing those two elements, and like I pointed out too, like they were keeping the electronic stuff really subtle, more in the background, which I kind of like when Korn uses it a little bit more minimally. But a great start to get this album underway. I'm going to move on to track 2 now, which is called Let the Dark Do the Rest.
Don't feel anything, do you? The dark that will tear me up inside.
I like how they just did that vocal there. When he said tear me up inside, the word up, it almost sounded like some harmonization going on. Yeah, there's a lot of change-ups they keep doing with this one. Like his vocals especially, I'm noticing that. There's a lot of variety. I love how atmospheric this part is. It has this really big immensity to its sound, kind of like you're in outer space or something. That was a very unexpected ending. I was not anticipating all of that energy coming at me. But that was track 2, Let the Dark Do the Rest. I really liked the atmospheric nature of that one. It had this amazing smoothness to it, like a really polished sound. Like I said, it was almost like you were in outer space or something, or in this big dark chamber. I don't know, it just had such a cool kind of reverberated, like atmospheric quality to it. But moving on to track 3 is Start the Healing. The vocal distortion on this one is so interesting. The vocals are so intense, but they're kind of keeping them pushed back a little bit. There's almost like a sort of whispered quality to them. I love all of this fuzzy distortion on the guitar here. That was track 3, Start the Healing. I really enjoyed the tone of that one. Something almost Deftones-esque about it, just with the distortion on the guitar and everything. Again, it had that sort of atmospheric, echoey quality to it. Like there was so much energy, kind of a punchiness from the vocal delivery, but they were kind of putting this coating on it almost. I loved the bass on that one too. That was really shining through. Just a lot of tonal elements from the instrumentals that I really enjoyed. Again, just kind of bringing that atmospheric quality to it. All right, moving on to track 4 is Lost in the Grandeur. I love that effect, that sort of scratching sound with the guitar. That's the sort of playfulness that I love from Korn's music.
The pain is so stimulating. Lost in the grandeur. Help me find my way.
Again, I'm hearing a very subtle tone in the background. I think it's some sort of electronic instrument they're utilizing.
So lost in the grandeur. It's constant and profound.
I love the bass here.
And I'm losing my grip. It feels so inside. I'm blocking ages every day. Keep on trying, motherfucker. Help me find my way.
I love the vocal change up there, all of that aggression coming at you. And then here on the chorus, it's a lot smoother and it almost has this melodic tone to it.
So lost in the grandeur.
That was track 4, Lost in the Grandeur. I thought it was so fun, that scratchiness that I mentioned with the guitar. I loved how they were implementing that tone across that song. It definitely reminds me of like the playful stuff Korn would do on their earlier albums. And again, sort of a hollowness almost to the sound of that one, kind of like you're floating in outer space. There's kind of like this weightlessness almost, and yet they're bringing so much heaviness too. But I'm going to move on to track 5, which is called Disconnect.
Simply convey the things I keep hidden.
Cool vocal distortion there. Something kind of watery to it.
The pain I have, I can't conceive. Duality alive.
This duality aligns, I think I heard. Yeah, and sonically they're kind of fusing those two opposing elements. Like the light and the heavy. They're blending the two so well. I like how they did that. It was almost like the song disconnected, like they shut it off for a second. That was track 5, Disconnect. A lot of fun change-ups with like the rhythm of that one. They were kind of stopping it and starting it, almost mimicking that disconnecting quality. And lyrically too, he was talking about kind of finding the balance almost between extremes. I was picking up on those themes. And that song was doing that. It had these really smooth, beautiful, melodic sections, and there was some harmonizing too, like almost an angelic, heavenly quality. And then he would bring all of that heaviness, more of a growliness to his voice. Up next is track 6 called Hopeless and Beaten. These vocals are so eerie. There's like the second set of whispered vocals they're implementing here. It's interesting, he just said, I see it boiling up. And this song does have this simmering quality to it. Like there's all this energy right under the surface. Man, there is such a smoothness to this album that I love. Like with these chanting vocals, I don't know, they have this sort of angelic quality to them. Right, I guess they decided to end that one with some vocal distortion there, but that was track 6, Hopeless and Beaten. The drums were really standing out to me on that one. They had this sort of light airiness to them, almost like this clanging around quality. I don't know, they were really emphasized on that track. And yeah, such a big, expansive sound to that one, almost like something's weighing down on you. Just so much heaviness and yet sort of a light airiness to it as well. But moving on to track 7 is Penance to Sorrow. I love the tones of all of these guitars that I'm hearing. They're all very different, but they're combining them to create this really cool atmosphere.
Look out, the feelings rushing back again. It's ripped the seam, I stitch it.
Yeah, this tone that comes in right here, it's like it's adding to the buildup of this track.
I can't break it, hurt is sacred all along. Staring back at me, free.
Again with the contrast here, like with the whispering and then the brutal intensity. That was track 7, Penance to Sorrow. A lot of variety with the sounds on that one, just very entertaining to listen to with all of the little change-ups that they were doing. Again, like so many contrasting elements that they blended together in a really smooth, cohesive way. And the bass and the guitars too, just so much fun with that one, with all of the different styles they were implementing. Alright, moving on to track 8 is My Confession. This distortion I'm hearing on the guitar, it's got such an abrasive tone to it.
And so what is this? The way to commit. It's not being displayed. Lying here afraid.
I love how they did that part. This infection's taking hold, and the word hold was so aggressive. Again, there's a lot of fuzziness here, like a sort of distortion, like a coating almost they've put over these instrumentals.
All I want is things to turn around as I waste away. My confession.
That was track 8, My Confession. Such a big explosiveness to that one. That one was definitely bringing a lot of energy to it. Again, a sort of heaviness almost. There's this really cool almost bounciness too to this album. That track was a great example of it. I think it's that bass that's really shining through, even though there's a lot of this heavy energy that they're pouring onto this album. There's still this sort of elasticy smoothness across the whole thing too. But I'm going to move on to the final song on Requiem, which is track 9, called Worst Is On Its Way. I love that effect here at the start that they're using.
Look now, tell me this is nothing.
Yeah, it's almost like this squeaky dissonance, this sort of effect they're using on the guitar, but then the chorus now comes in with so much smoothness to it.
Unfamiliar places I can't escape. It makes me sick. My confidence overrides.
I should have known Jonathan Davis would implement his weird vocals on this album too. It's like this song just got powered down all of a sudden. Well, that was track 9, Worst Is On Its Way. Certainly an explosive track to end this album on. That one brought a lot of heaviness to it. I really liked when Jonathan Davis did that little vocal change-up and he did that singing in his weird language that he's implemented on previous albums too. Again though, it's so much heaviness, but there's still this sort of weird lightness to this album as well. That last track had it too. Sort of like this floaty, ethereal, atmospheric tone, but then they rip you out of that with all the intensity as well. Well, that concludes my reaction to Requiem, the 14th studio album from Korn. There was this really amazing sort of floaty dissonance to this album that I loved. They really embraced a cool tone on it, and they would balance that out with a lot of aggressive moments too. Track 2, Let the Dark Do the Rest, had this really beautiful, almost melodic tone to it at times, and a great smoothness to it as well. And then track 3, Start the Healing, was definitely a standout, how that one would go back and forth between those extremes so much, like the atmospheric and then the more punchy moments. And the closing track, Worst Is On Its Way, that one just had a ton of punchiness, like a lot of energy coming at you, which I loved. But yeah, I am officially done with reacting to all of Korn's albums now here on my channel. That is until they release a 15th album, which I would be very excited to hear if they ever do that. I know Jonathan Davis has some solo projects that I'd love to check out, and I'll definitely plan on maybe doing a Korn album ranking in the future as well. That would be a fun video to put together. Be sure to let me know if you have any other Korn related ideas, and yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.